What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, still here in Milan as Spurs lost 1-0 yesterday to AC Milan in the first leg of the last 16 at the San Siro. Let's be honest, it wasn't the greatest game of football last night, and it's kind of what I kind of expected with how teams set themselves up in Italy and how Spurs have been playing of late. I think that it looked like pretty much two poor sides going at each other last night, and I think that's exactly what it was. I do think that Spurs did control the game for the most part of the game, and unlucky maybe not to go away from this without a draw or even a win. But having said that, Milan still created the best chance of the game, didn't they?
Yeah, and they scored, and to be honest, they probably created the best few chances of the game, and they were unlucky from a couple headers late on, potentially not to have scored a second. But apart from those isolated incidents, Tottenham were the ones in possession. Tottenham were the ones looking to create. They were on the front foot. I actually felt our approach play was actually decent. We were getting to the penalty area quite a lot. We entered the penalty area a few times without really testing the goalkeeper, which is disappointing. But for example, Longley had a very similar opportunity that Theo Hernandez had for the goal, but we didn't make the most of it, whereas they did. So it was fine lines when it came to those kind of situations. But I agree, I thought it was a poor game of football. I think it sums it up when I'm watching there's a pigeon there. I'm watching the highlights of the game yesterday after, when I go back to the hotel, and one of the highlights is a ball over the top by one of our players, and the keeper comes rushing out. He takes a swipe at the ball, and it goes out for a throw. And it's like that's a highlight. That was one of the moments of four minutes that you put into this game. It's like, wow, okay, really nothing happened in this game, did it? So I think it was one of those where I don't think we'll be happy with a 1-0 loss, because Milan were there they were there for the taking. They were there to be got at. I think if we had any quality about us in the final third, we would have easily come away with at least a draw. So that's frustrating. But I guess the positives in the long term are the midfielders put in a great display, which we're going to need them from now to the end of the season. And it's only 1-0. It's only a slight deficit, which you feel like we can easily turn around at Tottenham. So there are some positives, but you've got to be a bit unhappy with the quality of chances we did create during the game.
Yeah, I was saying all day in the square and speaking to people that I was even saying it coming into the game, like, if we go away with a 1-0 defeat here, it's not the end of the world, and it's actually not a bad result to take back to Tottenham. But after seeing the game, seeing how poor Milan actually were, I kind of retracted on that a little bit last night, and thinking like 1-0 was a bit disappointing, seeing as how the game went, how Spurs were playing, how Milan were playing. But on the face of things, you take it back to Tottenham with only one goal in it. It's all to play for. It's absolutely all to play for. And after seeing Milan yesterday, I'm much more confident now that we can go through. Even though we are conceding and we are losing 1-0, I'm much more confident that we can go to take them back to Tottenham and go through into the next round.
Yeah, I really expected better from Milan, even though they're not in great form. You got to remember they're still the Serie A champions. They won the league last season. I know things have not gone quite right of late for them, but I still expected maybe in a big Champions League game. It's very important for them as well. When was the last time they had a good Champions League run? It's been a long time for them. So this is a massive game, and I really did expect a bit of better showing from AC Milan in this kind of game, like a real plan. They didn't really threaten that much, apart from a couple late chances. Leao was on the left-hand side. He was causing us problems, but
he was their best player, wasn't he?
Yeah, I felt so. And he was the one really trying to force the issue, trying to make things happen with a bit of trickery, that pace in behind. A poor touch near the end of the game let him down when he was through on goal as well. But he was trying to do a lot by himself, Leao, and we shackled him in that sense. He wasn't really close to a lot of players a lot of the time. So I was expecting more from Milan. So from what I saw, I think you've got to be disappointed that we did lose in the end, despite the fact there's still to play for. I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity. We could have really gone there. We probably even got the win, but especially get a draw, go there and knowing that a win takes us through whatever the win is. Now, I guess it's the second worst best thing in terms of like a 1-0 loss is what it is. It's not positive, but it's something that you can build on at least. And at least as well, we stopped that. We stopped the rot from Leicester. We reacted in a way which, a bit more aggression, a bit more passion. I think you can't fault the effort from the players yesterday. I thought they tried really hard, and I thought there was a lot more passion there, and a lot more better defensive ability. But it's just again, we had a lot of set pieces which we didn't make the most of. We had a lot of possession, a lot of opportunities to swing crosses in the box or try and open them up, which we weren't able to do. So that is slightly worrying still, that we had so much of the ball and I don't think their keeper didn't really make a good save the whole game.
Yeah, and that was the disappointing thing of the night. I mean, moves just kept breaking down with our final ball in the final third. I mean, Kulusevski, I thought, had another poor showing in a Spurs shirt against Milan. Sonny again, not really at it. I thought Kane was trying his hardest, but again he put in a bit of a no-show as well. So our front three really not really producing for us the last couple of games, and you're seeing that in the score lines and how many goals we're scoring at the moment. And we need to find ways to get these attacking players to get these inputs again, because last few games has not been good enough from them in my opinion. And Emerson Royale as well, like he had a good game yesterday. Emerson, he was coming into the midfield, really helping out the middle two, the young boys in the midfield. Defensively, he put in a real shift, but again, going forward, he just can't do anything.
We haven't learned anything new. I think it's the same level of performance to yesterday as he did against Man City. Like, it's fine, which is great, which is fine. Like in certain games, but when it comes to yesterday, like I'm not saying people thought I actually think he's getting a good reception for his performance yesterday. But like in these type of games, you need a bit more. This is what we're missing from the right wing back. It's not about his ability to in build up play, link the play, or even his defensive ability and dominate on the right hand side and deal with layout, which is fine. But when it gets to the final third, wanting to really be incisive, be creative, have that quality to bring strikers into play, wasn't there. It was lacking, and that's just how it's always been for Emerson Royale. So I'm happy that he's found a base level. Hopefully, anyway, he's found like a base level performance that he showed the last 2 games. If he can keep that up, then I know at least we have like a good option for there. But I think we need to just get Poor up to speed as soon as possible, because then in these kind of games, hopefully, when we do get into the final third, in those areas that Emerson was in, he'll find a bit more quality.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's talk about the goal that we conceded, because it's a really poor goal to concede, let's be honest. I think Theo Hernandez completely does Christian Romero. I think he did it a couple of times, and Romero ended up slipping, and then the shot comes in, and Fraser Forster makes like 2 unbelievable double save, nearly made the 3rd save as well, but Diaz gets there first and gets in the box. Well, why is there no defenders reacting to Fraser Forster making their saves? Why is there no one? I just don't understand that. Everyone is just standing around, looking around, waiting for something to happen. You need to be proactive in your defending, and they just didn't do that yesterday. And Fraser Forster, as much as we had worries about him coming into this game, like there was nothing bad in there from him yesterday. And I think Fraser Forster probably walking out the tunnel pinching himself that he's playing in a Champions League last 16 game, but he made a great double save there, but there's just no one reacting to try and help us in defence.
They have 3 shots in the penalty area without reply. That's not that's unacceptable from our point of view. I think that's look, from AC Milan's point of view, they showed desire to get on the end of the shots and the rebounds and stuff, so they showed that extra edge. But from a defensive point of view, from our point of view, Theo Hernandez getting a shot off, but then you shouldn't allow another 2 shots off, and then obviously they got the header on the goal line. In terms of Fraser Forster, brilliant. The first save kind of just hits him, but he does well to get in front of it. The second save is outstanding from Diaz, unbelievable. He is so unlucky he doesn't keep out. It kind of just loops up and nearly goes loops over the bar, but just drops down onto the line, unfortunately for Forster. But that's where he needs his defenders to help him out, and it's like they're just so unreactive. They just kind of gave up. They just waited for Diaz to put it in, and then there was 1-0 AC. And after 7 minutes, especially considering what happened on Saturday, you're thinking, is this going to be one of those very difficult away days for Tottenham? Are we in it for the long day, a long haul basically? Are Milan not turning up for this? Luckily, it didn't really turn out like that. Spurs definitely came back into the game after the goal, but to concede a goal like that after 7 minutes, that was very, very disappointing start to the game, and it was a poor goal as well. Luckily, I think we tightened up after that moment, but it was a really poor moment from our backline again.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk about the men of the day, Ollie Skip and Pape Matar Sarr stepping in. And it was both of their first starts in the Champions League, I believe, and both of them put in a stellar performance, dogged-like performance from both of them. Ollie Skip was just literally everywhere, putting in challenges. It was like real grit in his performance yesterday, Ollie Skip, and for me, it was like getting back to those levels pre those injuries when under Nuno, early stages of Antonio Conte when he was playing really well. It looked like him getting back to those levels. We saw him play really well when he came on against Preston. This was another level. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Would like to see a bit more from him on the ball, moving the ball a bit more forward, a bit more penetrative passing. But no, I thought it was a really good display. But I think Pape Matar probably just stole the show yesterday.
Yeah, we'll start with Ollie Skip. I thought he was composed. It was a lot better than what we've seen recently. For example, against like Portsmouth at home, he was taking loose touches. He was getting overrun occasionally. He didn't look like at his sharpest. Definitely, maybe had signs of still recovering from that injury that he's had, that long-term injury. And I think for the majority of performances this season, we've seen that. But I think yesterday was the first time you can really start to see the real Skip emerging again. Like I guess we saw flashes of it at Preston, to be fair, but that's only 20 minutes against the Championship side. To come straight into the Champions League in a massive game like that, we know that he has played with maturity beyond his years before. When he first broke into the team, he looked like he'd been playing in that team for a long time, but he had suffered from those injuries, and it was so nice to see that industrious Ollie Skip, that sharp Ollie Skip back yesterday. I thought off the ball, he made a number of good interceptions and tackles, which allowed Spurs to maintain that control. On the ball, he was decent as well, able to play it forward. I thought his passing wasn't as good as Saab. We'll get into Saab in a minute. But what I liked was he seemed to have confident. He seemed to have confidence in his games. A few moments he was in his own half. And the easy option, would have been to take the ball and play it to the wide centre back or the full back, but he was able to just pick his moment to drive into the space, into midfield. And I remember one occasion he actually drove into the space and the pass didn't come off in the end. But I was happy because I saw some confidence from him to not just play the safe pass and do something a bit risky. And we're going to need that if he's going to play a big part from now to the end of the season. But this is definitely a good starting point for him now, good platform to get back into first team action, because we all believe in his quality. We all believe that he's got a big future at Tottenham. It's just a shame he's kind of stagnated through injury and a performance level over the past 6 months, and even to a point where we were open to loaning him out. But look, if he's going to get back to these kind of levels, then I'm a lot less worried about our injuries in midfield than I was maybe a few days ago.
Yeah, definitely. And let's talk about big Pape Matar. Papa don't preach. Unbelievable performance from him last night, and I've been banging this Pape Sarr drum since he got his cameo against Crystal Palace, and I feel like he's just getting better and better and better. And he got thrown in the deep end at the North London derby, didn't look out of place, was probably our best player on the day. And then this game, he gets completely thrown into the deep end in an away game in the San Siro in the last 16 of the Champions League for his Champions League debut, and puts in a performance like that. I mean, we've got something special brewing here with Pape Matar.
Yeah, and considering, I know he's had good cameos and good flashes of performances this season, no doubt about it. He's definitely shown some quality, and I've been delighted with that. But considering, he's come back from loan this season, hasn't really had a look in up until like January time, hasn't had much game time to really prove himself and give himself a chance. I'm so happy that he's taking his chance with both hands, and he's not like using the excuse like, I'm a young player, I'm just trying to settle into the team and stuff. Like before he starts putting in really good performances, he's coming in straight away looking to make an impact. And as I say, we've seen some flashes, but yesterday it felt like a real coming of age kind of performance from Pape Matar. He was so mature, confident, and I think the most importantly, there was so much quality there. On the ball, he was making the right decisions in terms of his first touch. He had a good awareness of space, which was really, really important. When he went into challenges, I think he won 5 tackles yesterday for a 20-year-old. Really, really impressive. He seemed to cover so much ground. And then I remember there was a moment, I think it was like in the 80th minute or so, he goes down this like the lung-busting run down the right-hand side. You're like, where's he getting all this energy from? It's unbelievable.
Duracell bunny, isn't he?
Yeah, it's incredible. He just keeps going for the whole 90 minutes. Like, he's got unbelievable amounts of energy. And maybe we're starting to see potentially why he was starting over Basuma for those short period of games when we had injury problems in January, because especially in the North London derby, because this boy has serious amounts of ability. He's only 20 years of age. It's scary to think about what a future lies ahead. Obviously, there's always going to be things to improve on, but in terms of he was head and shoulders above everyone yesterday, in my opinion, even the AC Milan players. I think he was man of the match for me. I thought he showed incredible quality and elegance on the pitch as well. I was so happy and proud of him, and hopefully, look, it's only one game, so I don't want to go completely overboard about he's going to kill it now from now to the season. But I just hope he like builds on this and learns like how good he can be, because he was sensational. And and again a bit similar to Skip, but we needed that. We really needed that level of performance after the Bentancur news, because everyone was so down about the news and it was devastating. But then with that like rainy cloud, that like kind of storm of the Bentancur news, now you're just seeing a tiny little ray of sunshine with Sarr blossoming, and that's so nice to see.
Yeah, it really is nice to see him. For someone with such a slender build, it looks like he's actually really strong on the ball. Really good technician as well. I mean, he's got it all, and he's so young, 20 years of age, Pape Matar Sarr. As well as Ollie Skip, you know. He's, 21 years of age, I think it is, so slightly older. So we could have a big future with these midfielders, Pape Matar Sarr and Ollie Skip. But on the face of things, 1-0 loss doesn't look really good, but we've got another chance, another crack of the whip at Tottenham in a few weeks' time. So I'm confident that we can bring them back to the lane and go through in this tournament.
Yeah, and I guess we touch on people have been circulating Conte's comments as well after the game, saying how he doesn't want to talk about his future, but if an opportunity in Italy ever came about in the future, he's not going to say no. Essentially, people have been disappointed, or maybe like it's got people basically a bit angry after the game, yes, especially after a loss. So I guess should we touch on it?
Look, my opinion on these Conte comments is. He's a proud Italian. He loves Italy. All his family live in Italy. His wife, his kids. His kids go to school in Italy, and apparently they don't want to move anywhere. They're very settled and happy in Italy. On top of that, he's got 3 very close people passing away in his life this year, and that makes you rethink things and think about things very carefully. And it's no surprise to me that he's open and wants to go back to Italy one day. That's what he said. And at the end of the day, when you're looking at Conte right now, everyone's going like, oh, why doesn't he commit his future? Why doesn't he commit his future? I mean, when do managers ever come out mid-season and just commit their futures? You know what I mean? Has an offer even been on the table for Conte? We don't know any of these situations, and I've been saying quite consistently throughout the season pretty much, I don't think Conte is going to be here next season anyway. So I'm not too bothered about those comments. It kind of makes sense to me with the whole thing surrounding his family, him living in a hotel, him not being 100% settled here because of his family and because everything surrounding him. And there's also the health issues as well. He's just had a major operation getting his gallbladder removed. There's so many situations there where it just makes sense that Conte wants to be back in Italy.
Yeah, and I think probably will be back in Italy when the time is right. If the time is right at the end of this season, which looking like an increasing possibility, then it is what it is. But but I think it remains to be seen. I don't think he's made a decision yet. I think we're still going to wait to see what. I think he's still weighing things up. He might land or go back to Italy, but I don't like when it comes to these quotes. I don't think there's much in it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think everyone just makes too much out of nothing all the time, as Spurs Twitter always does. But look, great. We'll take him back to the lane and we'll beat him in a couple of weeks. I'm pretty certain of that. But yeah, I think there's nothing that tells me watching that Milan side of anything to fear for them coming back in a few weeks.
No, there's nothing to be scared of. I agree with that. I think that we go there as favourites, in my opinion. From what I've seen, we should be more than confident of going there, and especially if we get an early goal, of really just taking it to them and killing them off. Obviously, they're going to make it difficult, and you've got to be worried that if we don't want to be caught on the counter, like with Leao and people like that, you've got to be worried about that kind of thing. But in terms of our attacking quality that we have and the way we controlled the game, I'm confident we're going to go there. They're going to bring them back, and we're going to win the game. I really am. But in an interesting way, the game kind of went very similar to how I thought, because Milan, as I said before this game, in the past 2 games before, they were shipping goals for fun, and then they changed their formation to a back 3, which they deployed against us. Then they only lost 1-0 to Inter Milan. They beat Torino 1-0, and now they've beaten us 1-0. So they're definitely getting that defensive solidity back in their game, which is a bit of a worry. But look, there's a long time between now and second legs. We'll see what kind of form they're in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we both said it was. We both predicted 0-0 coming into this game, and it pretty much was a 0-0 game. It was just a stupid defensive cock-up from Romero, and no defenders reacting to Foster's brilliant save. So yeah, I think we did pretty much call it. But look, we take them back in a couple of weeks' time, and let's and let's show them who's the boss in that game. But thank you everyone for watching. That is our match review for the 1-0 defeat in the San Siro. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.